Upon reaching home, Philip tries his best to impress the new lady, but Carol doesn't let him. She is brutally honest about his filthy habits like the toilet pool and the garbage house he lived in before she came into his life. Philip invites Melissa to stay at his house, but she assures him that she is fine in the house across the street. Later, the women are having a chat in the kitchen when Philip arrives with his newly groomed hair and beard. He did it for Melissa, but gets compliments from only his wife. At night, they have dinner together, and throughout the time, Philip tries to flirt with Melissa. He agrees to whatever she says, making up things to show that they share the same interests. However, by the end of the dinner, he drowns in his own lies and makes a fool out of himself. Later that night, Melissa comes to his room and invites him to the shower. He excitedly follows her behind, but finds Carol waiting for him. Suddenly, he wakes up covered in sweat from the nightmare. The following morning, Melissa knocks on his door and finds him working out. He exaggerates to show her that he is a provider, but Melissa sees through the act. She has come to ask him about the car outside her house. It's revealed that he brought it for her because he felt bad about smashing into her limo. Carol is not happy about him doing favors to another woman when he hasn't even fixed the door that he broke. Later that day, he tries to fix it but proves he is the worst handyman ever. Melissa comes to invite him and Carol for drinks, but Philip lies about Carol being sick and goes alone. As Melissa gets drunk, she reveals that she would have slept with him if he wasn't married, but that ship has sailed long ago. Philip is in shock because those are the words he so desperately wanted to hear. He immediately goes to Carol to break up with her, but finds her making a portrait of them. She thanks him for making the door no matter how bad it is. Philip cannot get himself to ask her for divorce after that. In the following scene, we see a sports car stop in front of the Alive in Tucson sign. A man gets out of the car, making it evident that the other three are not the only people alive on the earth. The man, eager to find another human, drives to Tucson. Back at home, Philip, Carol, and Melissa are chatting and drinking. Carol tells Melissa everything about her and Philip's marriage, much to Philip's annoyance because he doesn't want Melissa to think he is in love with Carol. When he gets a chance to talk to her alone, he brings up yesterday's topic. Melissa is embarrassed that she told him about her sexual desires and blames it on the alcohol. Philip tells her she has nothing to be embarrassed about, but she emphasizes that she would never sleep with a married man like him. Philip's face drops as he again misses a chance to be with her because of his so-called marriage. The next day, he thinks of a plan and shares it with his ball buddies. If he impregnates only Carol, their children will have to repopulate the earth with each other. But if he has babies with two women, the possibility of incest is crossed out. Now, all Philip has to do is get Carol and Melissa on board with his plan. In the following scene, he goes to Melissa's house and asks her if she wants the best for the earth and human life. When she affirms, he takes it as a sign that she would sleep with him for the betterment of the earth. Then he goes to Carol and pretends to cry about something he is very worried about. After she asks him what it is, he tells her about the possibility of their children having to repopulate with each other. Carol hates the thought of something like that happening, and Philip takes this opportunity to suggest the idea of him and Melissa having babies. Carol is strictly against it, but he asks her to give it a thought. He also pretends that he would hate to be with another woman, but is willing to do anything for the earth. When Carol finds out that Melissa told him she would sleep with him if he wasn't married, she is furious. She kicks Philip out of the house and goes to Melissa to curse her as well. Later, Melissa comes to Philip and asks him what he said to his wife. She too insults him and walks away in anger. He now desperately has to think of a way to make it up to them. Hence, he organizes a Dunk the Skunk game, where the women can press a button to dunk him into the water and do it repeatedly until their anger wears off. However, his plan fails as they completely ignore him and he resorts to dunking himself several times. 3 hours later, the women ask him to come inside. He thinks they will make him apologize, but to his surprise, Carol allows him to repopulate with Melissa. Initially, Philip assumes they are playing a trick, but Melissa also affirms that she is ready to have sex with him. But there are some conditions they have to follow to ensure their relationship is strictly professional. The two can only sleep 3 times a month and 3 times a day. Also, this process will stop right after Melissa gets pregnant. Philip pretends to be dreadfully agreeing to the contract, but goes home and screams into a pillow out of excitement. The next day is the day they finally get to be together. Philip cleans up and wears nice clothes before being stopped by Carol. She gives him peanuts for stamina and orders him to not enjoy the sex and be back home as fast as he can. Sometime later, he brings Melissa out on a romantic date. He wants to make it special, while Melissa just wants to get done with the work and send him back to his wife. Philip has even created a firework display for her which can be seen from miles away. The man in the sports car sees this and turns his car around looking for the source. He has been in the city for a week looking for people and was about to leave before seeing the fireworks. Just when Philip and Melissa are about to kiss, they hear the noise of a cart rumbling. Philip thinks it is Carol and sighs in annoyance, but when the man steps out of the car, both of them are surprised. He introduces himself as Todd, a technician from the East who was planning to go to Mexico before he saw Philip's sign on the road. Philip asks Todd to go away because they are busy, but now that another man is here, Melissa doesn't see the point of them being together. In the following scene, Philip returns home and tells Carol what happened. She is over the moon that her husband won't have to sleep with another woman anymore. However, Philip comments on Todd's body and insists that Melissa wouldn't have sex with him. Later, they gather outside to officially introduce themselves. While chatting, Todd reveals that his favorite movie is The Shawshank Redemption, which also happens to be Melissa's favorite. To contribute to the conversation, Philip also blabbers about Tom Hanks' great performance when the man is not even in the movie. Upon seeing Todd get all the attention, Philip makes inappropriate jokes about his weight. While the women condemn him for it, Todd doesn't seem to mind. He reveals that he started overeating after his parents passed away when he was little. He has been bullied his entire life and has come to a point where no comment bothers him anymore. A while later, both Melissa and Todd leave to take a rest for the night. Carol comments that she felt sparks between the two. She is ready to be their matchmaker, much to Philip's annoyance. The following day, she sets up a city date for the four of them, but plans to back out at the last minute. That way, Todd and Melissa can enjoy the day together. She invites them to her house and pretends to vomit. She also urges Philip to stay with her to help around the house. As a result, Melissa and Todd get the day to themselves. They ride go-karts, play golf, and have a lot of fun together. Philip spies on them the entire time, commenting on Todd's lack of knowledge about how to woo a woman. Later that day, he returns home and is helping Carol clean up the dishes using the machine she invented. She reveals that Melissa and Todd are going on a second date because the first one was fun. Philip urges her to stop setting them up, but it turns out Melissa was the one who asked Todd out this time. Philip cannot risk them being alone together again, so he turns their date into a double date. The four of them go to the tennis court where Philip takes off his shirt and asks Todd to do the same. He hopes the man will be embarrassed, but Todd does it without hesitation. Suddenly, Melissa gasps at something. Philip is glad that she doesn't like Todd's body, but it turns out she is looking at a scar on the side of his belly. Todd discloses that he donated his kidney to his foster brother when he was young. The women feel bad for him and make him the center of attention yet again. Philip tries his best to divert their attention, but they would much rather listen to Todd all day. It turns out that the person he donated the kidney to did not survive the transplant. Talking about the incident ruins Todd's mood. He apologizes to everyone and walks away. A while later, Carol and Philip go looking for him and find him and Melissa kissing. Carol thinks that Philip made Todd take his shirt off because he knew the transplant story would kickstart Todd's relationship with Melissa. Philip takes the compliment but is burning with jealousy inside. At night, he goes to Melissa's place and asks her to never trust the Fats because they are not good people in general. Melissa calls him an ass before shutting the door to his face. Philip begs for her forgiveness, which makes her feel bad, and she eventually opens the door for him again. Following that, they go to Philip's favorite bar and meet his ball buddies. Melissa gets to see the real him for the first time, as he admits Shawshank Redemption is not his favorite movie of all time. He says that he wanted to fit in with them and thought lying was the only way to make good friends. As the conversation proceeds, Philip feels like Melissa might be interested in him. He tells her how much he likes her and asks her out on a date. However, to his utter embarrassment, Melissa declines because he is a married man and she is dating Todd. Philip quickly recovers by saying that he was practicing his lines to confess his feelings to Carol. Melissa knows it's a lie, but she doesn't call him out for it because it would make the interaction more awkward. A distressed Philip goes to his home and falls face first into the children's pool filled with alcohol. He tries to keep the thought of Melissa and Todd out of his head, but it follows him to his bed. He can hardly fall asleep because of their lovemaking song blasting in Melissa's house. The following morning, Carol asks him to clean the pool over breakfast. Not wanting to argue, he claims that he is working on it, even though he has no intentions of doing so. Carol also mentions that Melissa told her she is having the best sex of her life. This triggers Philip's frustration, and he goes on a rant about the song not letting him sleep. As a reply, Carol reminds him that he is the president of America, so he has the authority to stop them from making a noise. Philip thinks the idea is great and arranges a neighborhood meeting later that day. He introduces them to a grievance board where the four of them can make complaints and suggestions every week to make their community a better place. He takes the privilege of being the first one to write on it. However, his suggestion is that they implement a sex curfew and noise ordinance for Todd and Melissa. An innocent Todd doesn't understand what he is trying to do, but Melissa sees right through his intentions. She refuses to oblige to his stupid rule. Instead, they unanimously vote for him to clean his toilet pool. The next morning, Philip reluctantly has to wear a water suit and get inside his filthy pool. He picks a few buckets of dirt, but it falls right into the water again. After trying for a while, Phil loses patience and ditches the work. By now, he is so tired of his bad luck that he lies down on the side of the pool and cries. He is interrupted by Melissa, who asks if she can talk to him for a while. She feels bad that she put her relationship with Todd on his face, especially after his confession last time. Philip still remains adamant that he was just practicing confessing to Carol. Still, Melissa apologizes for all the noise and asks him to forget they can ever be together. Before she leaves, Philip asks her for the last time if she would sleep with him if Todd wasn't here. Melissa refuses to answer because Todd is her boyfriend, and they can do nothing to change that. Philip thinks about the comment for a long time even after she leaves. His frustration turns into anger and hatred for Todd. Eventually, he makes it a mission to get rid of him, one way or the other. In the following scene, he knocks on Todd's door and asks him out on a bros car ride. Philip claims that he has a special place they can visit, which is enough for Todd to join him. They drive for 3 hours into the desert but do not reach their destination. Todd is enjoying the ride, talking about his sex life with Melissa and how they spend hours making love. At the same time, Philip cannot wait to throw the guy out of the car. When they are deep into the desert, Philip pretends that he heard the tire pop. As Todd gets out to check, he drives away, abandoning the man. A few seconds later, Philip seconds his decision and stops the car. He tries backing up, but changes his mind again. This continues for a solid minute before Philip finally decides to ditch the plan. Todd gets inside the car and jokes that he always knew Philip was coming back. He doesn't recognize Philip's hatred for him and is positive that they are good friends. Moreover, he thanks Philip for everything he has in life today: a girlfriend like Melissa and 2 friends who care about him. Philip cannot help but feel awful that he tried to abandon a man like Todd. Upon returning home, he is motivated to clean the pool. He gets his gear on and works for hours before finally cleaning everything. Later that day, Carol comes to his house with tissue paper up her nose to avoid the smell. Philip forces her to take them off, showing off his hours' worth of work. Carol is so happy that she hugs him and says that she is proud to be his wife. For the first time, Philip feels good hearing those words. In addition, he has even found a portable toilet for her so she doesn't have to go to motels every day. At night, the neighbors get together by the fire and drink. Carol thanks Todd for helping her carry her dresser. He is also praised for making a charm bracelet for Melissa. Philip cannot take someone else being the center of attention, but has to listen to the girls gush about how nice of a person Todd is. It gets worse when Todd brings out a sculpture he made of 4 of them. Out of jealousy, Philip breaks it and acts like it was a mistake. But only his statue is broken off, so the plan bites him back. The next morning, Philip comes to Carol's house to ask her for her DVR. Taking the opportunity, she suggests they start living together so they can use each other's things more conveniently. She is mad that even Todd and Melissa basically live together, but she doesn't live with her husband. Philip rationalizes his wish to stay alone by claiming that he loves this space and wouldn't be able to adjust with her. An angered Carol asks him to at least fix her door, or else she will ask Todd for help. As a result, Philip pretends to take measurements of the door, but Carol sees right through his act. After that, Philip goes to his favorite bar and talks to his ball buddies. He complains about Todd and how he is stealing his position in the community. Now he has to think of a grand gesture to seem better than him. As he is asking himself to think, the gesture itself appears in front of him. It is none other than a living cow. In the next scene, Philip has gathered everyone outside his home. He opens the door and blows everyone off their feet. They haven't seen an animal in more than 2 years, which is why they are beyond thankful to him. However, they come to a disagreement when Philip wants to slaughter it for meat while the others want to keep it for milk and every other dairy product. Todd offers help because he used to work on his uncle's farm and knows how to milk a cow and churn butter. The girls again fawn over him, making Philip mad. To gain sympathy, Philip lies about being lactose intolerant. They feel bad for him for some time, but it is again taken over by the excitement of getting to eat dairy again. Moreover, only Todd has grass in his backyard, so the cow will have to be at his home. He milks it, but Philip has to watch as they enjoy fresh milk. When it gets dark, Philip comes to Todd's backyard to milk it on his own. He has a sip, but has to hide when Todd and Melissa arrive to do the same. He hears them flirting and feels himself burn with jealousy. Hence, after they leave, he unties the knot that was tying the cow to a tree and lets it free. The next morning, the girls are ready to have cereal dipped in milk after a long time, but Todd comes to them, revealing that the cow is gone. Meanwhile, in the bar, Philip introduces the animal to his ball buddies. He plans to find the lost cow and win everyone's heart for the second time. Upon returning home, he pretends to not know anything about the missing cow. Melissa catches onto his act and asks him if he stole it. Philip acts offended but is scared that his lie will come out. The group decides to take a quadrant of the city and go on a search. Melissa is sure that Philip is the culprit, so she takes the quadrant that has his favorite bar. After they all make their way to the respective quadrant, Philip follows Melissa. Strangely enough, she walks inside the bar and comes out without the cow. Philip goes in after she leaves and is glad to see that the cow has already fled. But now, he will actually have to work to find her. As he drives down the city, Todd appears in front of him with the missing cow. Philip is mad that he will get the credit yet again. However, to his surprise, Todd suggests he take the credit. The guy feels bad that his girlfriend blamed Philip when it wasn't his fault and is ready to give him credit so he can prove his innocence. Philip pretends that he cannot take the credit for someone else's work, but by the end of the day, he is boasting about how he found the cow on someone's lawn. At midnight, he is woken up by a scream. He figures it is coming from Carol's house and runs to her alongside Melissa and Todd. It turns out that the cow somehow got into the house and into her room. Since it cannot go back downstairs, Carol will have to live with it. Philip laughs at her, making fun of her misery, unaware that he is the one who will suffer from this situation. Because the cow cannot be moved, Carol moves in with her husband. Upon being asked how the cow got upstairs, she says she has no clue. But a flashback shows us that she brought it up because she wanted to move in with Philip. Filled with jealousy, Philip complains about haircut practices in the grievance board. A while later, he is outside the grocery store and has bought everything he was asked to. But instead of bringing them home, he sets the items on fire. He asks God for a do-over out of frustration, and strangely enough, the wish comes true. A car stops in front of him and two beautiful women step outside. They are also brought here by the Alive in Tucson board and are excited to see the first man in the past 2 years. Philip feels just as excited, but upon being asked if he knows more people, he goes silent. After giving it a thought, he says that he is the only man in Tucson. He wants to use this opportunity as a do-over to gain two beautiful women as his partners. They introduce themselves as Gail and Erica. Gail is slightly older than the two, which Philip loves, while Erica is Australian, which he finds attractive. They bring him to their mansion and have a drink together celebrating their union. The girls revealed that they met while they both were staying at the White House and have been together ever since. They also insinuate that they have been in a lesbian relationship till now, which excites Philip even more. Now that he is here, the girls aren't afraid to admit that they will be ending their relationship, which only existed because they thought no man was alive. The comment is all Philip was waiting for. He is having the best time of his life until they notice the ring on his finger. This reminds him of Carol, and he decides to go home for a while. He leaves, but not before promising the girls that he will be back for dinner. At home, he brings Carol everything on her shopping list and greets her with a smile out of guilt. Still, it doesn't stop him from making excuses about where he was and where he's about to go later. He says he'll be going camping to relax for the night. Carol notices that he is in a great mood and supports him. Even though he leaves without any gear for camping, she doesn't suspect him. Following the interaction, Philip goes to his favorite bar and gets dressed. He talks to ball buddies, asking for their opinion on the Gail and Eric thing. He pretends that they are cheering for him and convinces himself that he is making a good decision. Moreover, Carol said that she is happy when he is happy, so he feels obligated to make himself happy by sleeping with other women. In the following scene, he greets Gail and Erica with a bottle of wine. They compliment each other before heading to the dining hall for dinner. Gail is a chef and has made many gourmet dishes using whatever canned ingredients they had. Meanwhile, Melissa, Todd, and Carol are also having dinner together. When the topic of Philip and his personality arises, Melissa is deeply uncomfortable. She doesn't like him a single bit and thinks he's a pathological liar. Todd, however, is Philip's fan. He thinks Melissa is too harsh on him and that he deserves a chance to do better in life. As Todd boasts about how good of a man his friend is, Gail and Erica are pouring alcohol down Philip's throat. Everything goes well until he accidentally makes a comment about liking older women and black women in general. The girls take offense to it and start pulling back from him. Philip quickly recovers by saying that his wife Carol is dead and he is still mourning. That is why he hasn't been able to take off the wedding ring yet. This gains him their sympathy and brings his plan back on track. He even makes up an entire dramatic story about Carol's death and how much it has hurt his life. To make him feel better, the girls suggest they go skinny dipping in the hot spring. Philip almost jumps in excitement at the thought. He knows he is getting laid tonight and is over the moon. Somewhere else, Carol thinks she should do something special for her husband since he has been good to her in the last few days. Todd agrees and suggests they fill the house with balloons as a random act of kindness. Melissa doesn't think Philip deserves it, but decides to help the other two. They set off to the grocery store while at the same time, the other three are on their way to the hot spring. To Philip's misfortune, the cars stop in front of each other. Gail and Erica come outside, greeting Todd, Melissa, and Carol in excitement. They are so happy to have found each other that they forget about Philip for a few minutes. Then Gail asks him to come outside, and Carol sees that it is none other than her dear husband. Everyone is furious at Philip. Gail and Erica for hiding other humans from them, Todd for disappointing him, and Carol for everything Philip has ever done. Still, he insists that he was planning to prank them tonight. He pretends to be happy because they were surprised, claiming that they were supposed to meet each other in shocking circumstances according to his plan. Despite no one believing him, he repeatedly tries to prove that it was a prank. They also discover that Philip lied about Carol's death. To get out of the situation, he starts making up absurd stories like he was married to someone else named Carol before the virus. In the end, they call him disgusting and drive home, leaving him stranded in the middle of the street. Philip, who had thought this would be the greatest night of his life, has to walk all night to reach the neighborhood in the morning. The newly arrived girls, Todd and Melissa, are enjoying dairy products while chatting about different things. They socialize with each other based on their mutual hatred for Philip. Just then, Philip arrives and tries to make conversations with them as if nothing happened. They give him the silent treatment and he tries to fight back but is wildly unsuccessful. Following that, he goes to his house and finds Carol waiting for him. She makes strange noises, then sarcastically apologizes for being a ghost. Philip still remains adamant that it was just a prank. In the end, Carol calls him a skunk and kicks him out of the house. Even though it's his house, Philip knows he's lost the privilege to argue after what happened yesterday. He looks at the wallpaper of him and Carol before walking away in distress. At night, he stays at his favorite bar with his ball buddies who always have his back. He is confident the others will come looking for him if he doesn't return home the entire night. He also doesn't mind sleeping on the pool table and calls it a rather comfortable place. When no one comes for an entire day, he keeps himself entertained by juggling the bottles of alcohol for his friends. Meanwhile, Gail and Erica try to make amends with Carol. They bring her a pecan pie and apologize for believing Philip. Even though it was not their fault, Carol cannot help but blame them. She thinks them being ready to have sex with a guy they just met was unethical. The girls leave after an awkward conversation and take the pie with them. After that, Melissa and Todd come to have a chat with her. Carol hardly looks at them and replies with curt answers to their questions. She is jealous that they have a good relationship but pretends to be unbothered. To prove that she is fine, she even makes them kiss. By the end of the conversation, the couple figures out that they can do nothing to help her. They ask her to come to them anytime she wants before taking off. After staying in the bar for 2 days, Philip is now sure that no one is coming to apologize for misunderstanding him. He wishes that he was a different person, which gives him an idea. In the following scene, he knocks on Carol's door as Mike, Philip's twin brother with permed hair. Carol just shuts the door to his face without saying anything. The next morning, Philip overhears the others talking about him. They discuss how he is a pathological liar and how it's affected his and Carol's relationship. Initially, Philip tells himself they are just bluffing, but upon giving it a thought, he registers he is in fact a liar. With a new vision, he goes to the rest of the group one last time. They are sitting around the fire drinking, trying to ignore his presence. Philip understands their feelings and admits that what he did with Gail and Erica was not a prank. He's regretful for lying every single time that he has, especially to Carol, who has always wanted the best for him. He apologizes for not being the husband she wants him to be because he lied when he said, "I do" to her in the church. Everyone listens to him for the first time, seeing that he is actually sorry. In the following scene, Philip is with his ball buddies again. The problem might not have been solved, but he feels a lot better after getting everything off his chest. Just then, he is surprised by Carol's arrival. She has brought a mat that she made in the past 2 days, especially for him because it says skunk. Giving the analogy of the mat, she reveals that their marriage is not working no matter how hard she tries. She hands him the divorce papers and the two get divorced at that instant. For some reason, Philip feels sad while signing the paper. They share a passionate kiss after that, but stop themselves from going further, deciding to stay friends for now. After that, the two announce their divorce to the others. Gail and Erica discover that they were only married for 3 weeks. This surprises them, and they start seeing Philip as a handsome single man again. The next day, Carol is moved out of Philip's home. When he is alone, Gail arrives and seductively invites him to help her with something. Phil gets the hint, and the two are about to kiss when Carol arrives to get her belongings. She asks them to continue, but the two don't feel comfortable with her in the house. Before leaving, Gail asks Philip to be home at 3 because she will be coming over. Philip is over the moon and cannot wait for the clock to hit 3. Back in Tucson, Gail comes to Philip's house in anticipation. She searches for him all over and ends up in his bedroom. There is no sign of him. Assuming that he is playing a trick on her, She seductively places herself on the bed. 2 hours later, Erica arrives and finds Gail sleeping. They register that they were double booked and double stood up. In Todd's home, he makes pancakes for Melissa, as always, but this time they are not heart-shaped. She notices he has been distant since breakfast yesterday and decides to address the situation. She thinks saying I love you to each other is a very important step in one's relationship, and she doesn't want to jump there yet. Todd claims he understands and tries to hide that he is upset. Meanwhile, Philip continues burning in heat, trying to find the smallest hint of shade. He hangs his pants on the side of the billboard and lays beneath it, so at least his face would be covered. But to his misfortune, it flies away and he is left in his underwear. 1 more hour later, he stretches his shirt out to hide most of his body but is struggling. Carol finds Gail and Erica and asks them how their sexual venture went. Upon finding out that Philip never showed up, she assumes he is dead because he would never miss a chance to sleep with two women. In the following scene, Philip is on the back of someone's truck. He's been rescued by a stranger who is taking him home. When it gets dark, Carol gathers everyone and discusses how they can get Philip back. Before they do anything, a truck approaches them, and out comes a handsome man who rescued Philip. It turns out his name is also Philip Miller, and he is an ex-military. The women start fawning over him, trying to find out if they have something in common with the guy. Moreover, he has practical skills to build and run things that will be helpful to the community. Todd is instantly protective of Melissa, seeing that she is being friendly to the new guy. He also doesn't forget to introduce himself as her boyfriend. As they chat, the new Philip reveals about the move to Tampa board. Everyone figures out why Philip did it and is disgusted by his actions. After the meeting, they go to their respective homes for the night. Todd asks Melissa if she likes the new Philip, and she assures him that she doesn't want to be with anyone else other than him. However, it does very little to make Todd feel better. Philip, on the other hand, goes to Gail's house to continue what they had planned, but Gail says she needs to rest and kicks him out. On his way back, Philip notices Gail, Erica, and the new Philip having drinks together. The new guy has taken over what was supposed to be his spot. To get his authority back, he organizes a community meeting the next day as the President of the United States. The new Philip wants to build wind and solar energy so they can have electricity again. Everyone praises his thinking and Philip is left in the shadows. Things get worse for Philip when Gail suggests he and the new Philip should go with their middle names. Since the new guy doesn't have one, everyone unanimously votes on calling Philip Tandy from now on. He protests and they settle on a Jenga competition to decide who gets to keep the name. The new Philip wins and Philip's name is turned into Tandy. It has been the worst day for Tandy, so he decides to go to Carol's to drink. But to his distress, she is all dressed up to go to Philip's. He has even fixed her door, something Tandy couldn't do for so many weeks. The next day, Philip is shown the cow that is still stuck in Carol's house. Todd said that a cow can't go downstairs, but Philip proves him wrong by making her do it. He is yet again praised, while Todd is embarrassed. Soon, Gail, Erica, and Carol start fighting for Philip's attention, and for some reason, he seems to prefer Carol over everyone else. Her love for cats and knitting catches his attention. Tandy is the most bothered by this. He only wanted the other woman for sex, but Carol is his real true friend who has been there since day one. Hence, to prevent Philip from staying at Carol's, he invites him to his house instead. Soon, Philip moves in with Tandy. One morning, Tandy sees him topless and thinks that he is trying to assert dominance by showing off his ripped muscles. He goes to his ball friends and shows them his body. In his head, the balls give him a green light to show off his muscles as well. Hence, he walks into the kitchen naked to show Philip who is the real alpha. However, the plan fails when Erica walks in on him naked and makes fun of him. Later that day, Todd sees Philip bringing a garbage truck into the neighborhood, while Melissa is riding on the back. He goes to talk to Melissa and asks her to stay away from Philip. He thinks she is about to dump him, so he dumps her first. At last, a heartbroken Melissa closes the door on his face. Meanwhile, the girls continue to fight for Philip, and Carol seems to be winning because of her knitting skills. At night, everyone goes through the grievance board acknowledging that Philip's arrival has solved half of their problems. Tandy tries to undermine Philip's accomplishments, making it evident that he's jealous. As a result, everyone decides to vote for the President of the United States one more time. Philip wins and is declared the leader of the community. In a desperate attempt to be relevant, Tandy blurts out that he has made a farm where they can grow crops. He is asked to show them the farm the next day, so he spends the entire night plowing to make his lie come true. The next morning, Todd informs him that in his absence, Philip slept with all the women. Tandy asks Carol if it is true and finds out Todd was wrong. They only took a shower at his place because he had hot water. Later, Tandy and Philip go to the farm where Philip praises him for his hard work. Tandy is glad to have some form of reassurance that he is still the man he once was. He even starts to like the new guy. However, the feeling fades away at night when he hears Carol moaning. She and Philip make love all night, making sure the entire neighborhood hears them shouting. Tandy is furious, to say the least. He and Todd are around the campfire when he suggests they kill the new guy. The next morning, Philip is placing solar panels while Todd and Tandy spy on him. By now, Todd's anger has died down and he thinks killing a person is a bad idea. But Tandy argues that it is an easy process. They can just drive him to the middle of the desert and leave him there. This reminds Todd of the time Tandy drove him to the desert. He finds out he was trying to kill him and is disappointed. While trying to prove otherwise, Tandy yells that he hates Philip and Philip hears him. Then, Tandy goes to Carol's to ask her when did she marry Philip because he clearly remembers she said she wouldn't sleep with anyone without marrying them. Carol rationalizes that she only married Tandy for babies, but her relationship with Philip is casual. Tandy almost screams in frustration because that is all he wanted from her when they first met. Carol makes it clear that he cannot have her now that she is in a relationship with Philip. Later that day, Philip moves out of Tandy's house because he heard him talk to Todd earlier. He reveals that he really likes Carol and won't let Tandy mess up the relationship at any cost. In the following scene, Tandy goes to his ball buddies to vent. When he starts talking about Carol, he realizes that he desperately wants to get back with her, not just because she is with Philip, but because she is the only person he is close to. Hence, he gathers jewelry from different stores and brings them to her in an attempt to win her heart. The plan fails when Philip arrives and holds Carol dearly. At night, everyone gathers around the bonfire again. Carol excitedly introduces Philip's new achievement, a lamp that actually works. Everyone is over the moon because soon they will get electricity in their homes. But a jealous Tandy knocks over the lamp and pretends that it wasn't him. Everyone blames him for the blunder, and Tandy, being Tandy, makes up several excuses. Eventually, Todd has enough of his bullshit and accuses him of trying to kill him and Philip. Everyone is shocked because that is a low blow even for someone like him. As the President of the United States, Philip asks him to go away from Tucson and never come back. Tandy is shocked because he is the foundation of the community, and seeing that no one else is speaking up for him, he is hurt. He throws a fit and locks himself into a room, refusing to go anywhere. This continues for 3 days straight. He doesn't come out of the room even once and eats toilet paper and toothpaste. Carol is worried for him and wants Philip to forgive the guy, but he is adamant. He says that he would be happy if Tandy died, which shocks Carol. She goes to Tandy at night and asks him to come outside because they have forgiven him. A while later, he agrees and joins them around the bonfire. Everyone is glad to see him except Philip, who tackles him to the ground. In the following scene, Tandy is in the back of a truck. Philip drives him to the middle of the desert and leaves him with food and water for 2 days. Even with the supplies, it is clear that he will die if not helped. Meanwhile, Melissa goes to Todd to make sure he is okay. Todd says that he loves her and is okay with her not loving him back. He just doesn't want to pretend to not care anymore. Melissa takes him back and the two embrace each other. 20 minutes later, Tandy has eaten all the food and is drowning in regret. He lies down on the ground, unable to walk anymore. Suddenly, one of his best friends, Gary, rolls towards him. Carol has brought him food because she knew 2 days' worth of supplies won't be enough. She discloses that she doesn't want to be with a man who can leave someone out in the desert to die. She would rather be with the one who doesn't have the guts to do it. Tandy is delighted, but he warns her she might be making a mistake because he is a douchebag most of the time. Carol says she knows, and the two drive back into the city as a couple.